Branden back. Time for more Branden's Boy Problems. Today's episode is about accountability and blame. So, in a relationship, when you are constantly having disagreements, fighting, whatever, it is hard to get to like a point where you actually try to see the other person's perspective. Like, everyone's just trying to focus on like what you did to me, why I'm upset, what are you gonna do to fix it? But in the situation, it's like it goes both ways. Like, your partner could be just as equally as upset with you, even though you're just upset with them. So again, it's about two people always at all times. You can never lose focus about that. But sometimes, like, of course, one person fucks up and it's going to be their fault. But on the other hand, it's like you should always know why you make the choice that you made to make. Like, whether you choose to be disrespectful to your partner, call them out their name, curse at them, hit them, cheat on them, whatever, no matter what fucked up thing you do, you need to know why you did it. Like, take accountability for your actions. Never blame it on the other person completely. You have to take accountability for yourself, your choices, your actions, all times. No matter what made you upset, no matter what started it, you still made the choice that put you in the wrong. So you have to take accountability for it. And I do feel like in relationships, people always want to blame their partner. Like, it's your fault I did this. It's your fault I did that. But I do feel like people mistake also saying why you did something as not taking accountability for it. But it's also like, again, if you did this, then I did that, then you did this. It's important to look at all sides of the issue and what started the conflict and how it can be resolved. Even if both people ended up doing things to hurt each other, it's like you fired a shot at me, I fired a shot back at you. It's like you both are firing shots at each other. So you do have to both take accountability. Like, it wasn't okay for either one of you. Because again, if one person is hurting you, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, etc., like, being tit for tat doesn't necessarily always work. I've always been a person, I'm a Scorpio, I love revenge. If you hurt me, I'm gonna hurt you back. That's my way of teaching you a lesson. Like, if you didn't want me to hurt you, you shouldn't have did what you wanted to hurt me. And that is definitely something I struggle with, because it's just like, I don't know. I just don't believe, or it's hard for me to want to be like the bigger person and be like, you hurt me, so I'm just gonna walk away from the relationship. I'm just gonna quit. It's just gonna, like, even if you did hurt me and the relationship ends, I still want my payback. I still want revenge. Like, you're still gonna hurt the same way I hurt. So it's just gonna be like, I have no sympathy for you no matter what I do to you, because you shouldn't have done what you did to me to begin with. So it is, I do always have that mindset. It definitely is like a problem, because it is always like, okay, if something's wrong, then I'm gonna get revenge. I don't care if you're a friend, family member, boyfriend, lover, ex, etc. Like, you do something wrong to me, I'm gonna do something wrong to you back. Don't start none, won't be none. That's always been my mentality. But in a relationship, it does get very toxic and unhealthy to have that mindset, because it does feel like you're constantly going to be at war with each other. And again, your partner's supposed to be like your peace. You're supposed to be happy together. You're not supposed to be constantly fighting, arguing, or feel like they're your enemy and you're always going to be at battle with each other. But it also just feels like if you don't resolve your issues, you are going to be in a constant war with each other, because you're still holding on to resentment and hurt they caused you in the past, and then they're going to be holding on to resentment and hurt you caused them in the past. So then it's impossible for you either to move on, because you both are still at war with each other. So again, it is hard to let things go. I definitely struggle with that. It's hard to just be like, okay, I'm over it. It's never going to be an issue again. I've moved on. But you do have to just make it a whole, like, it's part of being mature adult. It's part of being in a long-term relationship. It's part of being in a successful relationship. It's part of being in a healthy relationship. You have to forgive, and that is definitely like the hardest thing in the world. But for you to be able to forgive, you have to know that your partner or yourself acknowledges what you did wrong to the other person. No matter if you both did things to each other, then you both need to acknowledge, I did this. This is why. I'm sorry. And we can move on, because this won't happen again. And it goes both ways. Like, you have to acknowledge why you did what you did, what you wanted to accomplish from doing it. Was it worth it? And is it really worth battling your partner all the time? It's just not healthy. And there's no point in being in a relationship where you feel like you're dating your enemy, because your boyfriend should be your biggest ally. Like, if you're trying to build a life for each other together, like, you can't be dating your enemy. And it's just very hard, because relationships do turn ugly, especially when they do sour and break up. It's like you were so in love with this person, you were like so close to this person, this was like the person you were closest to, spent the most time with, we're with more than anyone else, and then suddenly it's like, boom, we're now mortal enemies and don't even like being in the same room with each other. Like, it's very hard, and it's definitely why some relationships become toxic. And I do feel like it's why so many gay people struggle in relationships. It's just kind of like pride is the biggest thing in a relationship. It's like you always want to be right, you want to feel vindicated, you want to feel like what you did wasn't wrong, like it was justified. But at the end of the day, it's like if your partner is clearly telling you that they're upset, what you did hurt them, or they feel like they need to retaliate, it's like clearly both of you are doing something wrong that puts you in battle with each other in conflict. And that is what is a big struggle in a relationship, especially in my relationship. It's just kind of like putting pride aside, taking accountability for what you've done, and not blaming your partner for why they caused it. But also, if you do feel like your partner blames you for something, look at their perspective. Find out maybe you didn't think you did anything wrong, but clearly they did. So again, you have to come to a mutual agreement that neither one of you did something that was correct. So you need to avoid having the situation in the future. So you need to make sure that you both are taking accountability and not blaming each other. Because again, if you both have something to blame on each other, then you need to look at their perspective and take accountability for how you hurt the other person. Even if it doesn't seem like something you did wrong, you still have to think about it from their perspective, try to see their side, and then determine, is it really worth fighting over? Is it really worth us being at war with each other? Is it really worth this relationship becoming toxic because I'm upset what you did and you refuse to apologize for it? So at the end of the day, you always have to think like, is this really worth having an argument about? Is this really worth negativity in our relationship? Is this really worth ruining the mood, the vibe, the day, etc.? Is this really worth holding on to? And if you do feel like something upset you, instead of retaliating, maybe address it with your partner first. Talk about it. Discuss it. Don't just attack. Because it's definitely something I've been learning and definitely struggle with. But I definitely want to make sure I have the healthiest relationship I possibly can. So I do have to work on my own accountability and not placing blame. But I also want my partner to take accountability and not place blame as well. It goes both ways. And to have a healthy relationship, you both have to be putting in the same amount of effort to make sure that you both aren't toxic. So thanks for joining me in this episode of Branden's Boy Problems.